Welcome to SciShow Tangents. It's the lightly competitive science knowledge showcase. I'm your host, Hank Green, and joining me this week, as always, is science expert and Forbes 30 Under 30 education luminary, Sari Riley.
Hello.
And of course, also our resident everyman, the one and only Sam Schultz.
Hello.
And also, we have a special guest today, another science expert. For the past 4 months, she's been our SciShow resident, which is a real thing that we recently created. She is a shark scientist finishing up her PhD with research focused on the movement ecology of basking sharks. It's marine biologist Jaida Elcock.
Howdy.
How's it going? How are the sharks?
The sharks are great. It's summertime, so they're out and about. They're hanging out. I'm excited because in August, I'm going to go jump in the water and put some tags on some sharks and learn more about what the heck they're doing out here. So I'm super excited.
If you were going to say, Hank, you have to put a tag on a shark, I would choose a basking shark.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so the basking sharks are the ones that are really hard to find. This summer has been like an anomaly. They're like kind of everywhere. So I had to pivot some of my research to whale sharks instead, but also whale sharks, similar vibe.
I actually, if you'd asked me, I would have said that whale sharks are harder to find. I have no idea why I feel that way.
They seem elusive, but once you know where to find them, they're there in some pretty decent numbers.
They're just out there all the time. Like every minute of your day, there's a whale shark. Like there's just a bunch of whale sharks doing their own day.
I think about that a lot. I'm just like, animals just exist outside. There's no inside for them to go to. And that's their normal. I'm like, wow, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, they're inside, but they're inside the water. They have no idea what's going on up here. Which God bless them, if only.
They'd be really disappointed if they found out what was going on up here too, I think.
They would be so disappointed.
Yeah, like, what are you guys doing?
Then they can't exist in 3D space the way that like they do in the water.
We're stuck to ground all of the time.
Yeah. I wish, this is what I wish either I had gills so I could swim and exist in the water, or that I had wings and I could fly. I want to exist in 3D space.
It's a real ridiculous notion. And in fact, kind of unusual on Earth to be stuck to surfaces the way that we are.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's restrictive.
Most animals are not stuck to surfaces, though they do have certain amounts of areas that they can traverse without problems starting to happen in the water.
Unless you're a sessile animal, and then you're quite literally stuck to surfaces.
I guess there's a lot of wet animals that are stuck to surfaces.
Is that like a barnacle or something?
Yeah, like a barnacle or an anemone. Anemones can kind of pop off and swim, which is weird, but the ones that are stuck.
How are I shouldn't ask that because it might be sad. But how are the sharks?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you're looking at white shark populations on Cape Cod, they're doing great. They're recovering. They're bouncing back after they disappeared because we hunted all the seals. And now the seals are recovering, so the white sharks are coming back. Some people aren't thrilled about that, but the scientists are.
When you say white shark, do you mean the biggest, scariest of them? The big great white shark?
The great white shark, yeah. I feel like great white shark implies the existence of a lesser white shark, and there is not one. So it's just
so you just call it a white shark. I like this branding change because I do have a certain idea of a great white shark. It does say I will eat your whole leg in one bite, but also it's not changing their faces. They're still gonna have that face that says I will fit your whole egg in my mouth.
I think their faces are so cute though, and I know that I'm in the minority here, but I don't know. I've seen there's a picture, maybe it's not a white shark, but a shark that's biting a boat propeller, and it just looks so puppy, adorable, and I'm just hello, friend. I will not pet you, but hello from a distance. So cute.
I think we need to reclaim the word great and just put it in front of all sharks, the great whale shark or the great basking shark. Yeah. All sharks are great. That's it. That's why the adjective is there.
I fully support this.
I never thought about the fact that there wasn't just a white shark in addition to there being a great white shark.
We don't need to bring down the great white shark in order to uplift the other sharks. So just great in front of all of them. And it's wonderful. Right.
Yes. Either you take the great off of and they're just white sharks, or you add great to every single shark so that they don't feel bad.
Common names are made up anyway. I'm just going to start doing that.
Absolutely.
And if you do it, then you're a scientist. So we'll all start doing it.
I mean, we have the power. We run SciShow. We can call things whatever we want.
Yeah, we're saying words for the first time ever constantly.
We constantly in the studio look up the pronunciation of words and it will play a SciShow video. And we're like, oh, I guess. That's the one.
I love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, every week here on SciShow Tangents, we get together to try to one-up, amaze, and delight each other with science facts while also trying to stay on topic. Our panelists are playing for glory, but also for Hank Bucks, which I will be awarding as we play. And at the end of the episode, one of these people will be crowned the winner. But first, as always, we will introduce this week's topic with the traditional science poem. This week, thank you, from Jaida.
Think of a leopard way up in a tree, eating a carcass with much joy and glee. Or maybe some wolves running around with their packs, just howling at moons and sniffing their cracks. How about an otter eating urchins galore? Good thing, because without them, kelp forests would be no more. What do these creatures all happen to share? They're predators, duh. They eat meat, not eclairs. There are so many types in water, air, and land. And they matter to ecosystems, so give them a hand. I wonder which predator leaves you in awe, because sharks are the coolest predators I ever saw.
The topic for the week is predators. But before we dive in, we will take a short break and then be back to define what the heck that is. Predator. That's just a thing that eats another thing, right? Am I a predator? Do I have to do the killing myself? Question mark. Oh. Feels like I do.
I think you might have to. Otherwise, you're a scavenger.
Oh my God. Are we all scavengers except for the ones who work at the factories where the meat goes?
And I guess you could debate, are we social predators in that?
Yeah.
Like, are we technically a pack hunter where
somebody else is killing the food for us and bringing it to us?
Bringing it to me. Yeah, the farmer who harvests the corn, who brings it to me, is just my friend. And that's pack being a social predator.
Yeah, except it's not corn. We're not talking about corn.
Well, this is the other thing. Predation.
Okay, wait a minute.
Is if you eat anything else alive and you totally kill it. So we think predators are meat eaters, like carnivores. But if you are a plant eater, if you're a herbivore and you eat the whole plant, you kill it.
You have to kill it.
You're a predator. Yeah.
How often is that actually happening, though, that a deer is eating an entire bush? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why maybe they're not predators, I guess.
But that certainly, like, there are lots of like phytoplankton that get eaten in their entirety. So I got is a copepod? I guess a copepod is a predator, just eating the whole algae cells.
And this is where I think it gets a little bit fuzzy, but like egg predation. So snakes can go eat bird eggs or whatnot. And so what happens when you eat the egg equivalent of a plant? So seed predation is a type of being a predator, is where mammals, birds, and insects eat seeds.
I eat a lot of seeds
from a plant. You eat all the seeds. And
you're not just making this up. This is really how
this is real. This is like
that's so stupid.
Sam was really hoping that Sarah was just doing a bunch of weird hypotheticals to make
He was waiting for the LOL JK.
Yeah, just kidding. No, this is
made
what
it
I
complicated.
found.
But no, this is really what predators are. Predators are anything that kills something to eat it, regardless of whether that something has bones and blood and stuff.
Okay, so the word predator is completely devoid of any meaning. The concept of is just nothing. It's just eating something.
It means a very specific thing. I feel like this is
to kill and eat.
You kill something that it was alive, and you totally kill it and you eat it.
Including seeds, which may not be alive.
Yeah, that's like the fuzzy. If you think of seeds as eggs, of plant eggs, then like fertilized plant eggs, then yes. But for most cases, it's pretty straightforward. You watch an animal kill another animal, and you're like, that animal's dead. It's eating it. That's a predator.
I can't wait for me and Sarah to write a book about what life is so that we can make it clear to everyone why it's totally chill for a seed to not be alive.
We can just make the rules.
We can make the rules. Sarah, do we know where the word comes from?
We do. It comes from classical Latin, and it's been the same word for a while. It's been predator, but it specifically meant a like plunderer or pillager. It feels like piratey to me. If you're a predator, you're robbing things. And if you're a predator, you live on the things that you've plundered. And we think the first record of predator becoming a biological term was when it was used to describe a group of beetles that ate other insects. And so they saw beetles that ate other insects, and they were like, those guys, they're predators. They're looters. They live on booty and plunder, and the booty is other insects. And then in 1862-ish, then we think it was applied more broadly to animals that prey on one another.
I'm so confused as to what we were using to describe predators before that. Or were we just like, hey, it's that thing that ate another thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd actually be really interested in it because there's been over the course of humans a lot of times where we assign, a kind of morality to animals, and I know that for a long time any animal that ate other animals was seen to be in some way immoral, unless it was a human, in which case it was fine. But I'd wonder if maybe it was just sort of classified as in some more subjective bad guy kind of way.
My brain went in a totally different direction where it's just they were being really specific, and they were like, wolves are deerivores, and then everything is so specific, and then it's there are too many words. Predator, just encompass it all.
I also like that the word prey actually comes from predator, which I just looked up. So it's from the same root, and so we had this word of predator, and then we had to create the word for the thing that got robbed of its life.
Robbed of its life was such an aggressive statement.
Because that original Latin word meant to rob, to steal, and the thing that is being stolen got transferred from people living off of the stuff that they stole from other people to animals living off of the life they stole from other animals.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's basically it. That's the thing is when you look at animals too, they're not so clean cut. If you think, oh, deer, they're chomping on little bushes. Deer just walk around being like, I could eat that.
I will.
Baby bird,
eat anything.
I could eat that.
Yeah.
Egg on the ground, I could eat that. I don't know. So that's all animals.
Almost any predator would happily eat a chocolate eclair.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Would a shark eat an eclair? How would a shark feel about an eclair?
I feel like it would, especially if it's a tiger shark, it would eat it because tiger sharks eat literally anything and everything.
Parts. Yeah.
I was doing field work and they like to vomit up their stomachs, tiger sharks.
Do they come out of their mouth?
Yes. And then they swim with their mouths open and it shoves it back in place.
Nice.
But one of them vomited up rotting sea turtle, and it smelled so bad that everyone on the boat was just sympathy puke, just done. It was so bad. Yeah, it's rough. Tiger sharks are so much fun because they're really interesting, but they're literally so gross.
Well, we're learning so much here on SciShow Tangents. All right, I feel like I know what a predator is, which means that it's time to move on to the quiz portion of our show. We were just talking about how we learned to put animals in these neat little boxes. Carnivores which eat meat, and herbivores that eat plants. But as we all learn with horror when we see a video of a horse eating a chick, nature tends to resist simple categorizations. Many animals thought to be obligate herbivores, that is, exclusively plant eaters, have been observed going for a meat snack when they think no one is looking. It's called opportunistic carnivory, and the reason for it is simple. Why pass up a free chance for protein and minerals? So for this game, which we're calling Munch Squad, I'm going to tell you where the animal lives and what it ate, and you're going to tell me what herbivore is playing predator for a day.
Okay.
Question number 1. This animal is found in the waters of North America. In 2001, researchers observed some of them, quote, loudly gnawing barnacles, crabs, and other marine invertebrates off of the lip of a dock and a nearby rope. Well, while these animals are thought to graze for algae in this fashion, researchers were quite sure it was the crabs and barnacles that were intentionally being eaten. Was it the green sea turtle, the Florida manatee, or the slender parrotfish?
I would think this would be the manatee because that would be distressing to see. They're supposed to be nice.
Wait, where was this again, you said?
The only clue I'm giving you is the waters of North America.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I thought that it was that broad. That's not helpful, but it is maybe a little. Okay.
I feel like parrotfish already eat coral.
Sure, which
is not very far off from 9. I would not be surprised to see it eating a barnacle because it's just you got confused by another hard, crunchy.
It might as well be the same thing.
Yeah.
What about crab though? Would it be weird to see one eat a crab? I wouldn't think it would be surprising though.
A manatee would be surprising. I'd be like, what are you doing? You're gentle.
Sir?
And now you're just,
Yeah.
oh.
I think that I'm going to go with manatee, mostly because sea turtles like have that hard beak. And I feel like it's much more shocking to see an animal with like big fleshy lips, like gnawing on like hard stuff like that. So I'm going with manatee.
Yes, I'm going to go with manatee as well, because I feel like turtles, their freaky eating is all swallowing related. Like they swallow a jellyfish or something like that.
All right. We got 3 winners for our first one is the Florida manatee. They lack speed and mouth parts, and also really anything much that could assist in capturing prey. Fortunately, barnacles are even slower than manatees. And given that the individuals were chewing, the researchers repeatedly emphasized the noise. It seemed clear that these animals were eating, not simply playing with their prey. When I turned like 12, suddenly potato chips, you got the option of having like extra hard ones. It was Lay's and Ruffles, but then these kettle chips came along, which are just like, oh my God. I think that must be how the manatees feel when they're having the barnacle snack.
Yeah, they're like this is the amount of crunch I've been craving for years.
It's like a bag of Tims.
I have these 2 big teeth and I've never really used them.
Let's see what these bad boys can do.
Yeah.
All right, question number 2. Like the horse in the video I was referencing, this animal was observed eating birds. Also like the horse, it's a type of ungulate. But unlike the horse, it's native to South America. Several captive individuals were seen eating pigeons and herons in their enclosure on multiple occasions. Was it the lowland tapir, the white-lipped peccary, or the alpaca?
Sorry, herons are not small, correct?
I know. There are some like on the smaller end. There's a lot of different kinds of herons, but I certainly I don't think they're eaten like a great blue. But they're big, and there is both a great blue heron and a little blue heron. So
cute. Okay, that's great. We love that.
I feel like maybe I just don't know what a tapir is.
They are the ones with the little things.
They got the little trunk,
little nose.
but they have a full mouth underneath the little trunk. They can do some chomping.
A mouth that could eat a heron. That's what I'm struggling with.
A heron has a pretty thin neck. You could just bite right through it, no matter how small.
Yeah,
I think it's true. Easy.
If you can just take a bite, you don't need to eat it whole. Predators don't eat their food whole.
You need to bite its head off, which is probably one of the easiest heads to bite off of any head in the animal kingdom.
I could do it.
I think I could do it too. Yeah, I think it would be easy.
Okay.
I wouldn't put it past any of these guys, but I'm going to lean towards it being the shock factor, maybe, of seeing a llama do it, because they're so like they have a bad attitude. Sure,
yeah, they do have a bad attitude.
They would do anything. I wouldn't be surprised that a llama did anything, but I think seeing a llama eat, you'd be like, I thought I knew what llamas eat. This is challenging that. Llama.
Are llamas the same as alpacas?
Or alpaca? No, whatever.
I was gonna say that, but I was okay. It's fine.
They just small. Everything applies to an alpaca as well.
I'm torn between alpaca and tapir because peccaries, I know that they're not pigs, but like similar enough to where I'm like, that would not shock me at all. I'm going to go with tapirs just because tapirs are dope and they deserve more attention.
I am also going to go with tapirs because of our conversation. I could see them going for the neck now. I think they could do it. I think they're vicious. I think I'd be more surprised if they could eat these birds than an alpaca.
Well, indeed, tapirs, or however it's pronounced, everybody's saying it slightly differently from each other. It's making me self-conscious. Are not very well equipped to capture prey. Their trunks are meant for browsing plants, very specifically. They have like tiny little elephant trunks. The researchers suggest, however, that they are perfectly happy to hoover up dead or incapacitated birds that they happen upon. So they're not hunting them down, but if they get hurt some way, they're happy to devour them. They also think that the captive animals, they also don't think that these animals were stressed or lacking protein. They were fed by people. They just liked snacking on the birds that found their way into the enclosure.
I feel like this answer doesn't shock me too much because tapirs are so big. I feel like those are one of the animals where you're like, how big is it really though? And then you see a picture of it next to a person and you're like, oh no, that's a really large animal. So eating a heron, I guess, when you're that big, I don't know. Yeah. That's my logic.
All right. Question number 3. This small mammal is native to Europe. It was housed in a wildlife rehabilitation exhibit with a bunch of raptors, including kites and buzzards, as a way to teach visitors what the raptors wouldn't eat. Instead, the researchers learned something themselves. When these individuals finished up their vegetarian lunches, they would begin to eat the raptors' meals of dead mice and birds. Was it a Eurasian beaver, a Eurasian red squirrel, or the domestic rabbit?
Rabbits are obscene.
Rabbits have surprises. Yeah. There's just something about them that I don't quite trust. So I don't know.
I don't trust any of these guys.
I don't want to think a beaver would do this, Sari. I don't want to think that. I think
beaver?
Yeah,
just walk up with its big old teeth and go.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Squirrel would do the same.
Squirrel also, they're bad.
Menaces.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to go with rabbit because I feel like if you were going to be like, we're going to toss this raptor some food, it would be a rabbit. But then you're supposed to be like, whoa, it's actually not eating the rabbit. That's crazy. So for that reason, I'm thinking rabbit.
But I thought the thing was it was sharing a pin with an animal it wouldn't eat. Was that the case?
Correct. Yeah. So, that's what I mean.
It wouldn't, I think, I guess there's not a raptor out there that I don't believe would eat a rabbit. A beaver, though? Maybe it is a beaver, because then maybe a raptor wouldn't eat a beaver. Too stinky or something.
Oh,
sure. I mean, also, a full-grown beaver is like the size of a man.
Well,
that's what I was thinking.
Might as well give it a shot,
I'm going to guess squirrel, I guess, just to split it up. And because, I don't know, maybe they don't want all that tail fluff. Or
that's why they've got such fluffy tails.
Yeah, they're like, actually, yucko.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, Monty Python tried to warn us. In their paper, which was delightfully called Carcass Consumption by Domestic Rabbits, the researchers expressed considerable skepticism about the dogma that rabbits can't eat meat ever because they lack the dentition and digestion for it. And they... because of how they watched it happen. The bunnies would chase the raptors away from their meals and follow the caretaker bringing food with enthusiasm. The enthusiasm of a pet dog at dinner time. Carnivory, the researchers propose, is all about opportunity.
Why are these raptors afraid of the rabbits is my question. Like they're actively being chased away.
Yeah, I think that they probably just aren't big enough to take down a rabbit. There's lots of different. They're probably littler ones.
That's really funny.
Like, absolutely, like a golden eagle would happily have that as like a pre-lunch snack.
Yeah, just pop it in.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was like
an appetizer.
Yeah. To be chased away by a rabbit is not. That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing. Yeah.
I mean, I probably like if a rabbit wanted to chase me away from something, I bet they could.
I think that's like one of the few animals that if it rushed at me, I would be like, okay, that's fine.
I think the first time it like literally jumped up and kicked me, I'd be like, okay, I'll go.
I don't know. I think I go, whoa, woohoo, do it again.
Yeah, I feel like if it like came out of my cabinet, there it is. I'd definitely run away.
If a mouse came out of my cabinet, I go, ugh. I think if a rabbit popped out, I would still go, whoopee, I love you. I cannot think of a situation in which a rabbit would ever scare me unless it was like giant. It would have to be like, and it would actually have to be like as big as a house before it scared me.
Yeah, I think that might be why the Monty Python joke was made. All right, Jaida, you got all three of them correct. That means you lead. Sari has 2, Sam has 1. Next up, we're going to take a short break. Then it'll be time for the Fact Off.
SciShow Tangents is brought to you by Rocket Money, a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings.
As far as I'm concerned, it's basically Halloween. And do you know what comes out on Halloween? Say it with me, guys. 1, 2, 3... Vampires.
Candy corn.
That's right. It's vampires.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what do vampires do?
And is there special vampires that go into my bank account?
Hank.
What?
Don't ruin the surprise. Do you know what vampires do? They suck the blood. Now it's not even no point even saying it. They suck the blood out of unsuspecting victims, much like subscription services do to unsuspecting bank accounts. Hank.
Every day is Halloween for your poor bank account getting feasted on by subscriptions that you signed up for and forgot about, silently draining the money blood right out of their fat red veins.
If money blood wasn't scary enough, here's a scarier story for you. Over 74% of people have subscriptions that they've signed up for and forgotten about. But much like a vampire can be killed by a well-placed wooden stake, so too can you vanquish forgotten subscription services with Rocket Money, the vampire slayer of the financial world.
Rocket Money gives you full control over your subscriptions and a clear view of your expenses. I signed up for Rocket Money, and there's like a little thing at the top. It doesn't just tell me how much I'm paying on individual subscriptions. It adds all of them up to tell me how much I'm spending on all of them, which is very spooky.
It's needed but alarming. Yes.
It's an important but upsetting number. Check out that easy-to-use dashboard and see all your spending laid out and find the things you don't need anymore and vanquish them with a few easy taps.
Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Now, that might not sound scary to you, but all the unused subscription services out there are quaking in their vampire boots.
Yeah. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. These aren't the sexy vampires.
No, these are just old Nosferatu vampires. They're kind of nasty looking, not sexy at all.
Wrinkly,
they're old,
money blood.
Wrinkly, yeah.
Yeah, they're the sugar daddies of vampires. You don't want them. Slay those unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/tangents. That's rocketmoney.com/tangents. rocketmoney.com/TANGENTS.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, get ready for the Fact Off. Our panelists have all brought science facts to present in an attempt to blow my mind, and after they have presented their facts, I will judge them and award Hank bucks any way I see fit. But to decide who goes first, I thought about it very hard, and I just think that Jaida should go first.
Yay! Thanks. Okay. So there's sort of two different elements to combine to create one really cool fact for this one. So let's look at each of these different elements and then we'll talk about them together. First is shark sensory biology. So sharks have technically 7 senses: sight, hearing, smelling, touch, taste, their lateral line system, and their electroreception. The ampullae of Lorenzini is that organ for the electroreception. But electroreception specifically is used by sharks to potentially navigate, but also to detect prey and potentially to detect predators, so that they can escape. So that's one element.
What was the 6th sense?
Lateral line. That's they kind of have these pores sort of with these little hair-like structures on the inside, down the side of their body. This is something that all fish have, and it basically can detect water movement, disturbances in the water. I guess I kind of describe it if you're in the water and someone pushes the water at you and you can kind of feel it on your leg. They can feel that, but a lot higher of a level, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So electroreception is number 1. Number 2 is shark reproduction. So as a group, sharks use 3 different modes of reproduction. There's viviparity, which is where the pup gets nutrients from mom via placenta and is born live. There's ovoviviparity. I'm probably saying that incorrectly, but it's fine. Where the eggs hatch inside the mother and then the young are born live. And then there's oviparity, which is where the mother lays eggs, and then the young develop completely outside of the mother, and then they hatch later from their egg cases. Bamboo sharks are among those oviparous sharks. So they lay eggs. They spend 5 months in an egg case just sitting there, vulnerable and whatnot. And as the embryo is developing, the egg case cracks open on one end, allowing for good water flow in and out of the egg case. And the baby shark can beat its tail to try and increase that water flow to make sure that they're getting enough oxygen and stuff. Now, the problem is when they're doing that, it can make predators aware of them. So now there's baby shark smell in the water. And if the predators are close enough, they can sense that movement of the water when the baby shark is beating its tail. But it's not all lost for this tiny shark. While they're developing, their sense of electroreception starts to become functional towards the end of their stay in their little egg cases. So a 2013 study supplied electrical current stimuli to a tank housing egg cases with shark pups in them to try and figure out like what would happen, just to see how the pups would react. And they found out that the pups would just freeze. Their tail would wrap around themselves. And not only that, but they would stop breathing to try and limit any electrosensory output that they're putting out there in hopes that any nearby predators just like won't sense them. And so these later stage embryos can detect weaker electrical stimulus more so than the early stages. And so basically it's just these baby bamboo sharks are using their newly developed electroreception to sense predators and then avoid predation while still inside the egg case. And I think that is wicked cool.
That's wild. So while they are little babies, like while they're in the egg case, and then they just like pretend to be dead, because the signals like of the nervous system and all the like pumping of ions and stuff that the muscles are using actually creates enough of a signal that a predator could sense it.
Yeah, that's how sharks can like detect their prey, is basically like sensing the like electric field of your own like functioning, like just your heart beating, like they can sense that. So these baby sharks are like, I'm just going to freeze and make as little output as possible so that you don't try to see me and eat me.
Is there, I mean, this is very unrelated, but is there a reason why we can't do that on land? Like, is the electrical signal like transferred faster in water or something? Or is that something?
I know sound moves faster in water. So maybe, well, water is also a conductor.
Yeah.
Is air, I guess.
No,
but like,
air is not a good conductor of electricity.
So maybe then that's why.
That's a good point.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe because it's impossible, Hank.
Yeah, maybe because air is traditionally considered to be a pretty good insulator. Okay. Cool. Weird. And these little eggs just float around?
They sit on the bottom. They're like, if you've ever seen, like, they call them mermaid's purses, little shark eggs. Those are also egg cases of skates, not just sharks. Like the shark ones usually don't look as pursy. You know what I mean? They don't look quite as purse-ish as like the shark ones, but yeah.
Yeah, those ones I've seen are the skate ones. Okay, that's fascinating, and I love it. Terry,
thank you.
You go first. You go next. I'm just picking.
Sarah, you go first, second.
You go first,
I'll go first now. Humans are okay predators, I guess, because our species somehow made it this far. But honestly, where would we be without our trusty companions, the ever loyal, the brave, hunting dogs? I'm talking beagles or dachshunds or pointers or spaniels or any of these sweet beans. But this fact off is not about land animals. It's about a different predator duo and what I'm declaring to be the hunting dog of the ocean, the moray eel.
Ooh.
That's right, because multiple species of fish in the same genus, including the spotted coral grouper and the leopard coral grouper, also called the coral trout, which is very confusing because it's a grouper, not a trout, will recruit and collaborate with giant moray eels to help them hunt. This partnership was first described in a 2006 paper thanks to around 187 hours of footage taken by these researchers, and it's unique as far as we know among fish. And the grouper and the moray eel each play a different role in the hunt. So groupers are good at bursts of speed in open water and chasing their smaller fish prey during the daytime, while moray eels sneak in crevices in coral reefs and corner their prey in these holes mostly at nighttime. But when the groupers are extra hungry, they find a snoozing moray eel and signal with a distinctive gesture, a fast head shake. It's like around 3 to 6 shakes per second, and there are videos of this out there. And this gesture means, follow me, let's go catch a fish. And usually the moray gets woken up, swims out of its hole to like follow the grouper and find the prey.
What?
And if the moray stops and like gives up halfway through the hunt and rehides, the grouper will shimmy again to egg it along and say like, come on, let's go. Like you do with your lazy beagle that's taking a nap. And if a grouper has unsuccessfully chased down a prey fish and the prey fish like hid in a rock somewhere and the grouper knows exactly where it's hiding, it will go near that hole and do a different gesture. It'll make a sort of like headstand move. It'll face vertically downward and then shimmy and say, as a gesture that means like, look in this hole, go get him. At which point the morays swim in the holes to inspect. And this rarer gesture was described in detail in a 2013 study based on that same 187 hours of footage. And sometimes the prey gets flushed out and the grouper gets to chomp the fish whole, while other times the moray swallows it first. So scientists think that this partnership evolved somehow because it's mutually beneficial. And particularly during all this footage, they didn't observe any signs of aggression between the groupers and the morays. It just seems like the grouper does a little signal, the moray follows along, and it's like, okay, I trust you. It's gonna be prey around.
How does the grouper get any of the food? Do they share it at the end?
They don't share it. I think sometimes the moray like chases it out of the reef, and so then the grouper gets another chance to bite it. And sometimes the moray catches it, and then it just gets the food.
I mean, it almost seems at this point that the grouper's like, I don't need to eat this fish, but I do need it to die.
I just hate this guy.
It's my enemy.
Yeah.
Wow, they're such an iconic bully duo too.
Yeah.
Looking at them.
Yeah, totally like a big hulking giant.
Yeah, and then just a little sneaky
and then
guy.
just like a little sneaky guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny because I love that you guys are seeing this as like a bully situation or like a dog with like its human, but like this whole head shake situation just instantly made me think of like a toddler going into mom's room at like midnight and being like, Mom, I'm thirsty. Will you help me? And mom's like, oh my God, fine. I'll come out of my hole and get you some water, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I guess you a fish.
Yeah, definitely if the moray is like, I'm sick of this, that means he needs it way less than the grouper does. So like, which one is... I don't know. Which one's the boss?
Grouper seems like the boss to me.
I guess so.
That's what I
Grouper's
was
saying,
thinking.
come here. Yeah, the grouper's
Moray's
the one
just sleeping.
communicating.
Yeah. I'm surprised that it evolved. Like it's very behavioral, and I don't think of either grouper or moray eels as like super intelligent. But maybe I need to rewrite my thoughts about fish.
Yeah.
Think differently. Yeah.
Fish are always smarter than you think they are.
There's the thing about being a mammal and looking into the eyes of an animal where the eyes stay fixed, and I'm like, you're a dummy. Like I just like
I mean, that's fair.
I need your eyes to do stuff in order for me to think you're intelligent, which is very silly.
Well, that's when you're going to see a grouper shimmying in front of you, and then all of a sudden it's moray buddy's going to come and bite your arm and go.
Thanks
They'll
for
take your
having
thumb off.
Thanks for having it be my arm, Sari.
Yep. I was going to see your butt, and then I was like, I don't want to.
And the eel never takes a bite out of the grouper because grouper looks like good eating. I gotta tell you.
No, the eel doesn't take a bite out of the grouper.
I feel like that would be a mistake.
Yeah, that's like not only is it biting the hand that feeds you because they're basically finding the food for you, but it's also like, let me attack the thing that is 100 times my size and could swallow me in one bite. I feel like that's not smart.
Look pretty tasty though.
And this is like the best example. I think they have the most videos, but they've also observed groupers collaborating with wrasses, Napoleon wrasses, which are other big fish. But they have these jaws that can stick into the holes of coral reef and octopuses. So they just need anyone to get into the holes of the reef for them. And they'll collaborate and say like, I need help.
Makes perfect sense to me that an
food.
octopus would learn from a moray eel.
Yeah. Octopuses also punch fish, which I think is very fun. Why? For what reason?
I know. It's never even occurred to me to punch a fish.
No.
And Sam, you don't have effects, so you 100% just lose.
Yeah,
you
I
had
already
no
lost.
dog in this hunt.
Maybe if I had 3 points from the first game, I'd have some kind of chance. But
if everybody had really messed up, but you didn't.
No,
that's not what happened. All right. Well, I find these facts pretty equally fascinating. I learned a lot about sharks and senses, but I also love an interspecies duo. But Jaida came in the lead, so Jaida is the winner of our episode.
The most expert science expert. I always feel weird having that title when there's someone who actually knows more.
I gotta say, I guess we learned a little about predators that aren't underwater, but it was really weighted towards being underwater. Seems like a bit of an unfair advantage, huh?
That's because underwater is just so much better. Where I want gills, just send me down there.
Are you saying it's better down where it's wetter? Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. Take it from me.
And now it's time to Ask the Science Couch, where we ask a question from our listeners to our couch of finely honed scientific minds.
The Space Say on Discord asks, I know y'all have talked before about bioaccumulation of pollutants in the food chain, and I've had a question in the back of my head. Do vegans and vegetarians theoretically eat less pollutants than our meat-inclined friends?
Well, I'd say they definitely eat less methylmercury, but there's other sources of pollutants.
There's a lot of nasty stuff in water, right? And that's what plants got inside of them.
Yeah, I mean, we've all got water inside of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is a little messy. We know that mercury is very bad, and mercury bioaccumulates as it moves up the food chain. So the higher up the food chain you're eating, the worse it is for the amount of mercury. And specifically aquatic, I think, is a bigger concern because that's where the mercury gets.
Is that why?
Actually,
I don't know.
But there's lots of different toxins, so it's kind of hard for me to say. What do you think, Sari?
It is hard to say. Yeah. This is a complicated question, but it'll get us both in the water and on land. To break down what they're asking a little bit. So this idea of bioaccumulation is the idea of toxins. So things that are in large amounts are bad for us or bad for life in general, entering the food web and building up in an organism. And you can enter the food web in so many different ways. It can be like taken up into a plant from soil, or floating in water and then absorbed into a plankton and then eaten. It can be taken in by things that eat those other things. It can be inhaled through the air if it's flying around or whatever.
Yeah, it can just be like sitting on. It can be like a dust. You know, if you've got a crop that's by a road, you might end up with some heavy metals from car wear settling down on the strawberries or something.
So there's bioaccumulation, which is just like getting into the stuff. And then there's biomagnification, which is like bigger things eat smaller things. And then as you eat a bunch of small things, then you build up more and more and more toxins in you.
You have to eat like way more than your weight in the small things to make your body. But with methylmercury specifically, it's very sticky. It sticks to tissues. It sticks to fats, I think. So like every bit of methylmercury you consume stays in your body. So if you eat like 10 times your body weight in plankton, all that plankton's going to kind of pass through your digestive system, but every bit of methylmercury that was in those plankton's going to end up sticking around in your body.
And the things that we're talking about when we talk about toxins generally are these chemicals that seem to stick around biologically for some reason, whether because they bind to fat molecules or they bind to proteins or they stick around in our bloodstreams or whatnot. And sometimes we know what they do. Sometimes we don't know what they do. And you're going to see a lot of different acronyms. This is where, with long chemical names, scientists love their acronyms, and they are sprinkled all over the papers, pop science articles related to this. And the ones that you're going to see probably are POPs, which are persistent organic pollutants. That is like the umbrella term. It's usually used to refer to the stuff that you find in the oceans, like complex organic molecules that were in industry, like flame retardants or PCBs, like PCB chemicals, which were used everywhere, like electric appliances, sprayed on dirt roads to keep the dust down, whatnot. DDT, dichlorodiphenyl trichloroethane, which was used as an insecticide, falls under this category of POP, of persistent organic pollutant. And then the hot term in recent days is PFAS, so per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. So there are a bunch of these synthetic organic chemicals that are used in a lot of like non-stick coatings. They repel oil stains or grease or water. They're in like non-stick pans. If a fabric is water repellent or stain repellent, like PFAS chemicals are part of it. And these are like thousands of different molecules that all fall under this umbrella. And they're all like long chain molecules that exist in the environment. We're trying to measure how they get taken up by organisms in the water and in soil and what they do to our bodies.
Yeah, exactly. What do they do? Because the original idea, we thought like, oh, well, these are like extremely non-reactive. Like part of the reason why they're forever chemicals is because they never break down. So if they're unreactive, what harm could they do? It's just like nitrogen or a noble gas. But it turns out that they can sort of, even if they're not reacting, they can take up a space in the body that would normally be being taken up by a different molecule, and thus interfering with the body's systems in some ways.
And then, like, separately from those, there are PHEs, or potentially harmful elements, where if you just look at one thing, so those are like mercury or lead or arsenic, as opposed to like iron.
PHEs, potentially harmful elements. I like
So the umbrella term, like a different umbrella term for like those that stress you out. You know, the bad stuff. And as far as like what you eat and how these things build up, I don't think it matters like meat versus plant. It depends on kind of like where we have studied, it seems like. So like the hot headline is orca whales are one of the most toxic animals because they are an apex predator and they eat a lot of salmon, especially. And there is a lot of very clear bioaccumulation of mercury compounds, as well as some of these other POPs, these other organic chemicals in their bodies. We've studied soil plant systems less well. And like we think that there is, just by volume, kind of like what we were talking about, where like water is all around you and you can move in 3D space in the water. And then on land, you can walk across the ground. And so there's just like more space, and you are living and breathing the water and absorbing stuff that is around you. Whereas on land, you have to get it from the soil or from the air around you. And so there are fewer ways for like a cow to get and ingest chemicals in it, or like plants to take up that chemical from the soil or the air, than there is for plankton to take up a chemical floating in the water.
And there's also like, it's a magnification problem where like a cow is going to eat a corn, and so a corn has this, it's taking up from the soil, and then the cow eats the corn, and then we eat the cow. With salmon, it's going to be plankton eats a plankton, and then a small fish eats that, and then a bigger fish eats that, and then an even bigger fish eats that, and then the salmon eats that, and then the killer whale eats that salmon. It's just like if you have a 10x at every predation event, the magnification hits hard in the last two steps, not in the first two steps. Because if it's multiplying by 10 each time, which it's probably maybe more than that.
Yeah, this is one of many reasons why people are like, maybe don't eat sharks. And if you do,
predators, we don't eat a lot of
strategic
predators.
About it. Yeah, exactly.
We only eat fish predators. We only eat aquatic predators. We don't eat land predators.
Yeah, I've never heard of someone being like, "Yeah, you want a mountain lion steak?" Be like, "I don't think that I do. Thank you, though."
Only weird guys who are trying to like do a thing at a party once, are going to have some polar bear. But but we eat a lot. Like most of the fish we eat are predators.
And so like it depends if you're and also if you're like growing plants on top of a Superfund site where there was once like a spill of toxic lead compounds, then the tomatoes that you grow will probably take that up, and they're probably not good to eat. So it depends on where your food is coming from always.
And wash your fruits and vegetables, everybody.
Yeah. Bugs walk on those things.
Man, bugs is definitely the last concern. And now for our listeners on Patreon, we're answering a bonus Science Couch question. Sam, what is it?
A man, at 728 on Twitter asks, this Shark Week, someone said that they don't have bones and they could theoretically fold in half. Is this true?
If you want to hear the answer to that question, as well as where we went with that, which did include a fair amount of penis talk, as well as enjoy other episodes totally ad-free, you can head on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/SciShowTangents. At our $8 a month tier, you get new ad-free and extended shenanigans as we answer bonus Science Couch questions every episode. Also, you will get a link to our private Discord server and maybe some other goodies in the future, and also access to some previous goodies that we've made along the way. Our patrons are the best, and we are so grateful for their support of the show. If you want to ask us your Science Couch question, you can follow us on Twitter at SciShow Tangents, or check out our YouTube community tab where we send out topics for upcoming episodes every week, or you can join the SciShow Tangents Patreon and ask us on our Discord. Thank you to @SunnyAJ8 on YouTube, Law Tyrannus on Discord, and everybody else who asked us your questions for this episode. Jaida, thank you. Where can we find what you are up to?
Yeah, so I am on so many platforms. I am on Twitter and Blue Sky, if that's a thing that you use, and TikTok as sophistication, and Instagram as sophistication _ because sophistication was not free. I'm still very sad about it. And then you should keep an eye on the SciShow channel for some things that will be happening with me coming up soon as your SciShow resident for the last 4 months. It's something I've been very excited about. So I also have a nonprofit organization that I co-founded with 3 other Black ladies involved with shark science called Minorities in Shark Sciences. If this is something that you are interested in or just want to support, you should check out our website, which is misselasmo.org. And we are miss_elasmo on all these different social media platforms. We're dedicated to supporting gender minorities of color in the field of shark science so we can get more info on sharks and more diverse people in the science field. So you should check us out.
Amazing. And there's merch.
Yeah. Well, we did Shark Madness, which is like, instead of March Madness, we do like a bracket of sharks every year. This was my brainchild. I'm so excited about it. And we had our members make stickers for like, which team are you rooting for? It's so cute. So check out our Redbubble. We've got stuff there. So yeah, all the fun things.
Sweet. Well, Jaida, thank you so much for joining us. If you like this show and you want to help us out, it's very easy to do that. First, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/SciShowTangents and become a patron. You get access to all the stuff that we already talked about. Shout out to patron Les Aker for their support. Second, you can leave us a review wherever you listen so we know what you like about the show and other people can find us and decide whether they want to try us out. And finally, if you want to show your love for SciShow Tangents, just tell people about us. Thank you for joining us. I've been Hank Green.
I've been Sari Riley.
I've been Sam Schultz.
And I've been Jaida Elcock.
SciShow Tangents is created by all of us and produced by Jess Stempert. Our associate producer is Eve Schmidt. Our editor is Seth Glicksman. Our social media organizer is Julia Buzz-Bazzaio. Our editorial assistants are Deboki Chakravarti and Alex Billow. Our sound design is by Joseph Tuna Medish. Our executive producers are Nicole Sweeney and me, Hank Green. And of course, we could not make any of this without our patrons on Patreon. Thank you. And remember, the mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be lighted.
But one more thing. In the late Triassic, around 210 million years ago, one of the largest reptilian predators was Smock Wawelski? Wawelski?
Wawelski. I went to high school with that guy.
Wawelski.
Smock Wawelski. We think these fearsome 5 to 6 meter long predators weren't just eating meat, they were also crunching on bones to get marrow and salts.
Nice.
A 2019 paper studied 10 coprolites, aka fossilized poop, and found that they contained lots of bone fragments from prey animals and some of their own broken teeth that they accidentally swallowed. And this was a pretty exciting discovery because the main other bone-crunching reptiles that we know of were the tyrannosaurids, like T-Rex, which didn't evolve until around 140 million years later.
Smock beat him to it.
Smock. He definitely sounds like the guy from Monsters, Inc., Mike Wazowski.
Smock Wawelski.
That's like what your dad would call Mike Wazowski. Hey, there's Smock.
That guy's Smock Wawelski with the one eye.
Yeah, that guy.